Mustang. I don't know if I like it or not. Looks like a 599. Hey guys, it's Marwan here with a new sketching video, and in this video we're gonna talk about something that I love doing, and I'm sure you already know that I love doing this, and that is marker sketching. So we're gonna talk about some technical stuff, I guess. So I know a lot of you, many of you at least, don't have a lot of markers to work with. Maybe you have 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 markers to work with, and that's no problem at all. We can still have a lot of fun with markers. So that's what I'm going to show you today, what you can do if you have only a few markers to play around with. So I don't think I'm going to go with cool grays today. Let's see what we have here. I like these lime green, so let's do something with green, I guess. Let's try it and see what comes out. Spectrum green. I love these names of these different colors. You have spectrum green, peacock green, deep green. That sounds cool. I like that. What else do we have? Yellowish green. That's straightforward name. I'm gonna pick you just because you have a straightforward name. Okay, we have 4 now, so yeah, that should be enough, I guess. If not, we can always get more. So let's start. I'm gonna show you like let's say you have 2 different shades of one color. Maybe you have a cool gray 2 and a cool gray 6, and you can do a lot with just those markers, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. How you can adjust the pressure, maybe not the pressure of the marker, but the shade of the marker, even if you just have one. So let's start by sketching. Let's see what we can do. Let's do a couple of rectangles here. Yeah, keep it simple. I was gonna do a car, but maybe not do a car every single exercise. I think this is more beneficial if we just keep it to a really simple shape to get my point across here with the markers. Otherwise I have to go into reflections and all of that. Alright. Lines are not perfect, but that does not matter at all. I don't care. Can't help by adding some reflections or whatever in there. Okay, so let's start with the green here. We have now. I know obviously the point of this video is having few markers, so chances are you might not have 4 of one shade. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this, my favorite name here, yellowish green, because that's exactly what it is. It's such a perfect name. It's a yellowish green. That's all you need to know. YG06. So let's use that. Hopefully it's not hopefully it's not empty. Ah, looks great. Okay. So what we want to do here, we want to think of this as a cylinder. We're looking at a cylinder from the side view, and we don't have a lot of markers to play around with, and we want to have this depth effect. So the light source is coming from up here. That is the ugliest arrow I have ever done in my life. I don't know if I fixed it. Whatever, it's just a light source up here. That's right, light, that's enough. And that means that this top part here is going to be the brightest area, obviously, since that is where the light hits. And this down here, we want that to be darker. So what I'm gonna start with, the first thing to think about when you're adding shade to a object with markers is the speed of your marker strokes. The slower you go, the more, the more ink is going to get attached to the paper. So if you want to have a lighter shade, just make a quick stroke. The quicker the better, because the less ink actually sticks to the paper. And as always, you know that I don't like marker paper. So I'm using regular printing paper here, and I think that's a good idea also for the sake of this exercise, since I like to keep things basic. So that's about it. Alright, so I'm gonna start by going really fast over this almost entire cylinder here. I don't care about the this is a bit dry. Crap. It's alright. I knew it was gonna be dry. But I think I can get the message across anyway. So I'm gonna keep this area here completely white, because that's going to be, I want this to be a glossy surface, and that is going to be the highlight where the light is reflecting the strongest off of the cylinder surface, meaning that it's going to create a white highlight. So if this marker now, since it's dry, it's not gonna really, this whole, it's not gonna be as effective as a tutorial as I was hoping. I think I'm just gonna make a new one, but I can just show you quickly what I was going to say with this. So when you let this dry, you've been over this a few times really fast to get the lightest shade possible with the marker that you have. If you go slower, you're gonna get a darker shade, and if you go faster, you're gonna get a lighter shade. It obviously depends on what kind of marker you're using as well. So what I'm gonna do now to get this darker shade here is wait a second until this has dried, and this is very, very dry marker now. I think you can even hear it. Crap! But you want to go over it like a few times like that. You can see here already that the shade of this is the same marker, but you can get such a big difference in shade of green or lightness. If you look at this area right here, this super light green area here compared to this down here, and that is all the same marker. So what you can do if you only have a few markers is it's gonna take a little bit longer to sketch whatever you want to sketch, since you have to wait for it to dry. But you can still make cool renderings and shades with just a few markers. So let's see what this is. We can add this. Yeah, I think that works. So if you have a second layer of marker, obviously you can do the exact same thing. You know, probably I'm gonna make the baseline black, but for now I'm gonna use so this, now we're going over this up until the middle section of this cylinder, and then I'm gonna quickly switch back to the first marker that we used while it's still a bit wet, the marker that we just put on here, and then just smooth this, you know, make them blend into each other a bit more like that. And that's about it. We use 2 markers for this, so that's all you need to do. And then we can add the right now it looks a bit like weak, if you want to call it that, so let's add some thickness to it. I think it's time to get new markers, because most of my markers are not going dry. So if you want to make an outline like this, you can do that, just to get some contrast in there. And if you're like sloppy like me and just go over the lines with your markers, you can define the outline a bit more with a black line like this. There we go. And the top part, I'm gonna make it just a little bit, fill in the top part just a little bit with a big pen. I don't want it as thick as the other lines, because this edge is the edge that are facing directly our light source here. So if you can if you can figure out that this arrow here is actually pointing down, which can be hard because the arrow is messed up. There, look at that, we got a cylinder. I hope it looks like a cylinder. Not entirely 100% sure, but I hope you got the point with the technique here. It's all about speed, and it's all about either you wait for it to dry or you do not wait for it to dry. You actually use it, you blend the markers while it's still wet, but you got to be quick switching from one marker to the other if you want to do the blending effectively. And one other thing you can do, if you have a big pen like this, which you most likely have, you can always go in and do some line shading here just to add a third layer of reflections onto your sketch. So that's about it for this video, but I'm not gonna stop here because I feel like I want to sketch a car, and that's what I'm gonna do because I don't know. I love to sketch cars, so I'm gonna just continue to sketch here. But this was the main idea with this video. Main, what do you call it? Like concept for the video tutorial. Actually useful stuff. That's I think what I'm gonna start calling this series. Actual useful stuff. Plus a few car sketches on the side. Perfect. Anyway, so yeah, let's doodle some cars. As you know, yes, I like side views. I'm just gonna put up a few doodles here. Let's extend the rear. Heavy, muscular line there. Add a little bumper up there. Let's see where the A-pillar is going to start on this one. That depends if you want to have a 2-door or a 4-door car. I think we might actually do a 4-door for this one. So I'm starting it about there. I think I'm overthinking this right now. Should be much faster than this. And when I start to overthink things, it just ends up looking like crap. That looks like a cool thing here. Old school style. Let's define the greenhouse of this thing. I don't know what's up with the shoulder line here. It doesn't really fit in with the rest of the car. Same old stuff, add the baseline. And what else? Add some doors, I guess we can do. So I guess the door will start around here. Rear would start around this point here. And then we have the B pillar right there. Keep it simple, just cut it in the middle like that. And let's sketch a bit of the interior through the windows here, just to add some perspective to this sketch. Let's destroy the wheels. Add some sweet looking rims to this. 5-spoke as always, because I'm too impatient, as you know. Just a bit of line shading like that. What else can we do here? Add some reflections, of course. This looks like a pretty standard car, so the reflections are going to be pretty standard as well. Something like that. We have the horizon reflection in the body of the car, in the side of the car. And we also have the horizon reflecting in the side of this portion right here. Like that. Cool. Let's see if we can make let's add some markers to this. But not this yellowish green, because it's dry. What do we have here? We have a lot of reds. I have a lot of reds over here too. Let's see what this is. I like that. Very fresh color. Alright, so let's just use 2 markers for this. These 2, the ones you see here. So I'm gonna start with the light. That was the wrong one. I'm gonna start with the light marker. Just to fill in the horizon line and the main reflections of this. What have we here? We have over here should be red as well. Let's keep it extremely dirty today. And the baseline, of course. All right. And now we're gonna use our second marker to fill in this, make these reflections just a bit deeper than we can get with by using just 1 marker. So I'm gonna go 1 level deeper by using 2 markers. And basically that's all you need. You don't need more than 2 shades of 1 marker really to make a nice doodle. Well, you can do it with 1 marker if you want to, but just to make it a bit more interesting, you can use 2. Going back to the first now, so I'm not using a 3rd marker. This is the first one that I used. Just to fill in this, I want the shoulder line to be white as a highlight there. Now let's fill, I'm going to use though a warm, let's see. What do we have? Warm gray, blue gray 5. Let's see what that looks like. Sure, why not? Let's do it. Just to fill in the interior parts of this car, because we're looking at the interior through the window, the inside of the far side of this interior. And as you can see, it gives a little bit of depth effect. That's exactly what we're looking for. Cool green 9 sounds good. This part, if you don't have markers to do this, that is no excuse not to do it, because you can actually do this with a big pen. Fill in these the wheels and the thickness of the tires and all of that. It's just going to take a bit longer, but it's totally possible. And this wheel is totally messed up as well. Same thing here, we have a bit of perspective. So we're going to see the far side wheel, like that. Let's try not to mess up this one here. I guess that's all right. Sweet. So what I'm gonna do now to sketch what we talked about a couple of days ago, sketching wheels, and I'm gonna do it really simple. So I'm using this Cool Gray 5 here, just adding the depth of the disc. I don't know what it's called, but the whatever the like the inserts of the wheel, just have them shaded like that, so we can see where the light is coming from and how the light is reflected in there, and where the shading is. Kind of gives a sense of a depth of the wheel just by doing that, keeping this lower part white and the top part darker. Gonna use no, I'm not. Let's see if we have a yeah, Cool Gray 9, I guess. Going back to the Cool Gray 9 here. Adding some spokes, very simple. Simple stuff. We're gonna add some highlights to this later on, just to give it a bit more of a definition. If you like, you can always go back to the black and fill in the baseline, for example, like this. Just make a few lines of black like this, and obviously it's a good thing if you have a marker that is not completely dry, like this one. Cool. Now we're going into a bit of details here. Trying to get the just a few. Sometimes you only need a couple of lines to make a big difference. And I think wheels, if you just know how the wheel itself and the disc brake and all the components that go behind the spokes and the rims, if you can figure out how to, you know, visualize that in an easy way, you can make it really fast, and it's still going to look decent at least. I mean, you're gonna get your point across. And that's what I'm trying to do here with my wheels, because the wheel itself has an, you know, the wall itself on the inside, that is this part here, and then it is separated from the disc brake. So I want to have some air in between the disc brake and the rim itself, and that's the black parts here that I just did. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know. And then we can always go back with a big pen just to touch up some stuff. And now the fun part. Using the Posca Posca Uni Posca pen. It's not a big pen. Not everything is a big. And I'm gonna go over the car sketch, add some sweet little, you know, touches of white to kind of make it shine. The shiny parts, of course. You know, it doesn't have to be a lot. Just a touch here and a touch there. It's all good. And we can add burn points in the body of the car like this, and make some random lines that go like that maybe. Same thing on the back part here. Just have fun with it. Don't think about it too much. Oh, I don't know. I'll keep it. I can't do anything about it anyway. And same with the back here. Adding some burn points. This is the burn point for the rim here. And now we have the spokes. Just add some touches to the spokes like this. And we're pretty much all set here with this sketch. I'm just gonna fill in the windows a bit more by using pale blue light. And that looks like that. Add some blue in here in the windows, maybe on the side of the car. Since we have the sky being reflected from the top, that means that all surfaces facing up will have a touch of blue on them. And glass naturally usually have a bit of a blue tone to them, which is why I put the blue here, even though the surface itself is facing the side. Okay. Can add some section lines to the door here. Just really thin white lines to show where the cut lines for the doors are. This is my problem. It's always I'm always supposed to do a quick doodle, but then there's you can always do just one more thing with a sketch, and then one more thing, and then let's just add this little tiny detail here. Final touches now is just to go over this whole thing with a big pen, because sometimes when you sketch with a big pen and then you go over with markers, the lines tend to be messy and start to bleed. Not always. I mean, it depends. I'm kind of used to this, so I go over I kind of know where not to go over with a marker too much. If there's a lot of heavy big lines, I tend to stay away from that area of the sketch with the markers, or I'll just go over really quickly and it doesn't really affect the big lines that much. But same here, the slower you go over the big lines, the messier the lines are going to be. So that's a nice sheet of doodle paper here. Let's just fill in this, actually no, let's keep it like that. I want it to be cool gray 9 or whatever that was instead of black. So that's about it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this helps you out if you don't have a lot of markers to play around with. Especially this part here. Just play around with the different speed of your strokes, and also play around with whether you want to wait until the marker is dry and go over one more time. That's going to give you almost an instant darker shade of the same marker that you used. But if you go over 2 times, you're going to have a, you know, almost 100% darker, or 50 at least, darker shade. And if you want to blend them, keep in mind that the faster you do that, and you got to do it before the previous marker layer dries completely, because then it's gonna get really hard to blend them. And yeah, that's about it. And of course we did our car doodle there as well. So that's about it, and I will see you next time. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy, guys.